afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now live at 4 on this Thursday. Another nice summer day out there.
We're getting spoiled rotten with this weather.
Yeah, we really
it's
are.
Very nice.
And it's going to continue as well. Heat up a little bit. We'll get to that in just a minute. But first, here's what's making news today. Mendota Mental Health is getting a major expansion to help more teens.
Several events on Madison's Near East Side could be impacted as part of Main Street stays closed to clean up after last week's explosion.
And in Washington, the federal government says it'll start using capital punishment again after stopping the practice nearly 20 years ago.
Let's take a look outside today. This is a view of Lake Mendota from the top of the Lyric Apartments. Boy, is that a beautiful shot. We live in a beautiful city, don't we?
That's where we should be today, out on that sailboat.
I agree.
Yeah, it is a beautiful city. Warmer, more humid weekend, however. Let's get the weather. Dana's in the back. I didn't know who was doing the weather. I had to wait to see who came up on the screen. It's Dana.
I've been here since noon. It was me today. Yes, I do wish we were in a boat right now. It's so nice outside. It feels wonderful. And even with that little bit of an increase in our humidity, not too bad for your Thursday afternoon. Here's a live look from our WISC-TV sky cam. There are a few clouds in the sky, but thankfully that slight chance for a few isolated showers that, of course, we had the last 2 evenings, just not a concern for us looking at this evening. Our Doppler tracks quiet. Some storms well off to the west in Iowa and Minnesota. Likely not going to track or keep their energy all the way up into southern Wisconsin, though. Now, right now we're at 83 in Madison. About 84 in Janesville and close to 81 at Camp Douglas. So a warm afternoon, a little above average with those temperatures. Temperature-wise, we're pretty close to where we were at this time yesterday. Our dew points, though, at 61 in Madison and 68 at Mineral Point, are just a little higher than where we were at this time yesterday. Over the next few hours, we'll steadily fall through the 80s and land in the upper 70s by sunset. Overnight lows will be in the low 60s again. So a comfortable start to the day tomorrow, but it is yet again going to be a little warmer outside for your Friday, of course, and Saturday and Sunday. But we'll take a closer look at the weekend in just a few minutes. Right now on the roads, if we look at the Beltline right at Mineral Point, both east and westbound seem to be going okay right now. Again, that's around Mineral Point. The closer you get to John Nolan, you get more congestion on the eastbound side, stretching from really Fish Hatchery towards John Nolan speeds at about 20 miles an hour up to 25 miles per hour eastbound. Westbound doesn't look too bad currently. Around Middleton, Waunakee, all looks fine. If you're taking K and M up through the northern side of the lake, Mendota, you should be okay. 26 minutes to get from Janesville to the Beltline, from Sauk City to Middleton, about 16 minutes, and from Sun Prairie to downtown should be about a 19-minute commute this evening on this lovely, very summer evening. You guys said about we're kind of getting spoiled right now after the heat. I think we've deserved it, though.
We absolutely, after living through last week, yes, we do.
Yes.
All right, Dan, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. First at 4, American Transmission Company says it could take 2 months to extract insulating fluid from a substation that exploded in Madison last week.
The need for large equipment also means a block of East Main Street will be closed until that work is done. Danica Lewis is live about a block away from that closure with what that means for events on the Near East Side. Danica.
Well, Mark and Susan, I am live here at Stevens Field, where tonight they're actually hosting a bodega night. It's where a bunch of vendors come and people can shop from those local artisans. But this is one of about 13 major events happening over the next couple months here, and that's all while there's a potential for East Main to be closed. And as you probably well know, parking can be problematic in this neck of the woods to begin with, which is why Big Top Events sends out a parking plan to every person who buys tickets for soccer matches or concerts here. The president of that organization, Vern Stedman, says that plan lays out 2,000 parking spots within a few blocks of the stadium.
It's not really an intuitive spots, you know. It's not like Warner Park where there's this huge parking lot right next to the stadium and you walk in, you know. But we actually have more spots secured for use for events here at Stevens Field than we have at Warner Park. They're just in weird spots, kind of off the beaten track.
Stenman says the new garage on Livingston is only about half full during home soccer matches. The Sylvie, though, has about 14 shows scheduled over the next couple of months. That is just around the corner from that road closure. And get this, Saturday night is one of those perfect storms. Madison Forward, the soccer team here, has a home game, and there is a show at Sylvie. Not sure if that one's sold out, but regardless, that means potentially 7,000 or so people trying to find parking a way around that detour, or a detour around that closure, I should say. and there's already limited spots already. But Stedman says that Livingston lot, the new garage the city just built nearby here, that doesn't even fill up when the Sylvie has a show the same night as a Madison Forward home game. So hopefully you can find some spots out here if you're coming out for that.
I'm thinking Uber might be a solution. Danica, thank you.
Thank you, Danica. A $59 million expansion project at Mendota Mental Health Institute is expected to triple the number of teens the facility can treat.
Rose Schmidt explains why more beds are so desperately needed. Rose?
That's right. We're talking about the Mendota Juvenile Treatment Center. It will be able to start housing and treating teenage girls for the first time in 2021 and almost double the amount of teenage boys that they can treat. The center is part of the Mendota Mental Health Institute on Madison's north side and currently houses 29 teenage boys who have come from some of the worst situations imaginable. The state budget signed by the governor this month approved $59 million to add on to the treatment center. There will be more staff and a new building added where 50 more teens can be housed. Psychologists use what the facility's director says is a one-of-a-kind approach to treating juveniles.
We will develop more treatment along the lines of what we've been doing for the last 25 years, and that treatment's been effective in reducing recidivism in half with the most dangerous and violent boys in our state.
The only other facility in Wisconsin that currently accepts higher-level secure youth right now is the troubled Lincoln Hills Copper Lake, which is slated to close in 2021. Dr. Van Rybrook says when that happens, some of those teens could come to Mendota. Right now, the average stay for teenage patients at Mendota is about 9 months, and the expansion project is supposed to be completed in 2021.
Just in time.
They're in the design plans right now.
All right, Rose, thank you.
Thank you, Rose. The fallout from special counsel Robert Mueller's 6 hours of testimony continues. The White House says Democrats have had their investigations, and now it's time to move on. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, slammed Mueller, questioning whether he had even read the report. Democrats say Mueller laid out evidence of potential criminal activity.
So when we go down this path, we want it to be as unifying for our country, not dividing. And that's why we want it to be the strongest possible case.
Why would you ever even bring up impeachment after yesterday's hearing? That should be put to bed. That is over. We watched it. We heard it. We've read it. What more can they make up?
House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler says his committee is headed to court today to compel former White House counsel Don McGahn to testify before Congress. McGahn has refused to comply with a subpoena to testify after the Justice Department said he could not be compelled to speak to Congress because of executive privilege.
The Department of Justice says it will resume executing federal death row prisoners starting this December after a self-imposed moratorium on the practice. The Attorney General says the move is about carrying out justice, but critics of the death penalty are questioning the announcement. Katherine Johnson has more from the Department of Justice.
The Department of Justice announced it's resuming federal inmate executions after a nearly 2-decade lapse. In a statement, Attorney General William Barr said the Justice Department upholds the rule of law, and we owe it to the victims and their families to carry forward the sentence imposed by our justice system. President Trump has been a vocal supporter of capital punishment.
We have to bring back the death penalty.
Only 3 inmates in the federal system have been put to death since federal executions were reinstated in 1988. One of them was Timothy McVeigh, who was executed in 2001 for the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing that killed 168 people. The last federal execution took place in 2003. Under the Attorney General's order, executions will resume in December by lethal injection. 5 inmates who were convicted of murdering children or elderly victims and sentenced to death have executions scheduled.
There's a serious question as to whether the rules will be in place to be carried out by that time.
Robert Dunham of the Death Penalty Information Center says a legal protocol must be in place in order for the executions to take place, and that could take months. Dunham also says public support for the death penalty is waning.
American support for harsh punishments is eroding. We're seeing that those jurisdictions that are seeking criminal justice reform are also seeing lesser and lesser use of capital punishment.
According to the Death Penalty Information Center, there are 62 federal inmates currently on death row, including Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and Charleston church shooter Dylan Roof. Katherine Johnson, CBS News, the Department of Justice.
The 5 executions are expected to be carried out at the same federal facility in Indiana where Timothy McVeigh was executed. The Attorney General issued a directive for new execution guidelines, which would require 1 drug instead of the 3-drug cocktail used in the past to be administered.
Accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein is back in his jail cell after a trip to the infirmary. Sources tell CBS News Epstein was found injured in his cell and may have tried to kill himself in jail. He was found earlier this week on the floor of his cell, crying, semi-lucid, and depressed. He was treated in the infirmary, and his injuries do not appear to be life-threatening. Authorities will also investigate whether another inmate may have attacked the 66-year-old, or if Epstein may have created the incident to get a transfer to another jail.
Around the state, cleanup continues after destructive storms last weekend. Officials with the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs says there's nearly $2 million of damage, but several counties still haven't submitted reports to the state. About 16,000 customers were still without power this morning. The National Weather Service says 16 tornadoes touched down between July 18th and 20th in parts of Wisconsin. The National Guard is sending crews to help clear the damage and debris.
Authorities continue to search for 2 missing brothers from the Green Bay area. The brothers were last seen traveling to Missouri on business. Our news partners in Kansas City say investigators have been at a property in Caldwell County, Missouri, but authorities won't say why. Their rental car was found with the lights on and the engine running on Monday. Well, it may still be July, but that doesn't mean Packer fans aren't already thinking about football.
Melissa Kim is in Green Bay, where the Packers are back at it with the first day of training camp.
Definitely a hot, sunny day out here for the first day of Packers training camp, but some guys were very brave. Wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he wore a long sleeve hoodie for the entire duration of practice. But not everyone was as bold as MVS, the players riding bikes down American Family Insurance Dream Drive as tradition goes. That was first started, of course, by the legendary Vince Lombardi. Now, first-round draft pick Rashawn Gary was a very popular guy, making some good first impressions, giving out autographs and making some new friends too. And other staples like Kenny Clark and Aaron Jones also showing off their skills on the bikes, showing off how slow and steady or how fast they can be. Now, one big thing, there's a lot of changes going on here in Green Bay. Obviously, first-year head coach Matt LaFleur, but also some noticeable absences on the field and in the locker room. Obviously, Randall Cobb is gone. He's with the Dallas Cowboys now. Clay Matthews also not here. And as of yesterday, Mike Daniels is no longer with the Packers as well. And coming up in sports at 6, we'll go inside the locker room and talk to these guys about those changes and what the future holds here in Green Bay. But for now, at Lambeau Field, Melissa Kim, News 3 Now Sports.
Thanks, Melissa. I love seeing those guys on those little bikes.
So do I. That is such a great tradition.
It is a great tradition.
It's really special.
Where'd the summer go?
Well, still to come tonight at 4, it's Friday Eve. The weekend is almost upon us.
And there's a lot going on as usual. We'll find out what's happening in the 608s when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Street today following more weak earnings reports.
I think we want to do this Nissan story first. The car company has hit rock bottom. Those are the words the company used. I'm sorry, we are doing stocks. No one.
We missed the rehearsal.
I missed rehearsal again.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. As Susan said, not a good day on Wall Street following more weak earnings reports. The Dow Industrials fell almost 129 points, closing at 27,140. The Nasdaq Composite Index dropped 82, and the S&P 500 fell 15. Not a good day for Nissan either, apparently. It's the weekend in the 608.
And joining us now with a look at what's going on around town this weekend is Madison Magazine Associate Editor Joel Patnod. Hi, Joel. Good to see you.
You too.
Okay, so what do we begin with this weekend?
You got a movie starring a local guy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is the Quentin Tarantino movie, his 9th. It has stars as big as Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Al Pacino, but it also has a part for a local Madison area Taekwondo instructor named Mike Moe, and he plays his childhood hero, Bruce Lee. This is a film that he actually has a scene that RogerEbert.com described as one of the best in the film, where he fights Brad Pitt. So and we've been watching, and we had a profile of him in Madison Magazine back in April, so we've been really anticipating the movie finally opening.
Yeah, we have as well. We had him here on Live at 4, and it's such
Couple
an amazing story. He owns a martial arts studio in Wanakee, and now look at this.
3 kids?
Yeah, just going back and forth from Wanakee to Hollywood.
Tough life, right?
Exactly.
All right, a big annual festival in Atwood Avenue.
Yes, Atwood Fest. It's an annual favorite. It's Saturday and Sunday. Several blocks of Atwood Avenue will be filled with food and beer stands, arts and crafts vendors, and a kids area. Music, 3 bands, I should say 3 stages for 25 bands, some of which, say on Saturday, you can expect to see Black Star Drumline, VO5, and Work, and on Sunday, Steely Dan and Better Yeti. The kids area alone will have live entertainment, including DJs, improv comedy, and for the wee ones, Bubbles.
Bubbles, you can't lose Bubbles.
Now on Saturday and Sunday, it's the Midwest Fire Fest this weekend.
Yes, this is in Cambridge, so that's just east of Madison. The Midwest Fire Fest is a celebration of all things created with fire, heat, and smoke. It's a maker's fair of sort featuring welding and forging demonstrations by 23 fire-based artists. They will have a community iron pour, fire dancers, and smoking hot music from 7 live bands. And then also, separately, in Tenney Park this Saturday is the Disability Pride Festival. There will be more than 50 exhibitors and performers raising awareness for access issues that disabled people really face every day.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Great. Yeah. All right, finally, a big star, big music star in town.
Yes, Travis Tritt. The country music star, one of the biggest to have come out of the late 80s and early 90s. He's been writing hits for 30 years. In fact, he's had 40 songs on the country music charts, including 5 number 1s. Foolish Pride and Best of Intentions are a couple of them. He's a winner of 2 Grammys and 4 Country Music Awards, and he'll be at the Sylvie on Saturday night.
Big name.
Absolutely.
All right, lots going on as usual. Joel,
Indeed.
thank you.
Have a good weekend, Joel. Thanks.
You too.
Get this month's Madison Magazine for all the best in the Madison area. Stay with us. There's more at 4, including why the technology in new cars could be making many seniors more distracted.
And then coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 5, a new piece of legislation could bring hope to the thousands of people who suffer from paralysis. We'll have that story tonight at 5.
Well, take a look at this. A 2-year-old boy took a wild ride on an airport luggage conveyor belt. Atlanta police say the boy's mother lost track of him while she was printing her boarding pass. That's when the boy disappeared behind the ticket counter and ended up in the TSA bag room. Agents grabbed him and called the police. The boy fractured his hand in the incident, but his mother says she's grateful he's okay. You know, kids can be gone just like that.
Yeah.
You turn around and...
I'm telling you, boys.
Yeah. They're just gone, but he's okay.
Yeah, thank goodness, thank goodness.
Gosh.
Well, one of the most beautiful summer events in Madison is back. Nearly 100,000 people are expected at this year's Sunflower Days, which returns to Middleton's Pope Farm Conservancy after a year off.
Visitors can see more than 500,000 sunflowers in bloom at a 9-acre sunflower farm. This year's event starts tomorrow and runs until August 4th. It costs just $4 per adult to get into the fields. Kids 12 and under get in for free. There's no parking at the Conservancy, so a shuttle bus is going to provide service to bring people to the event. That service, of course, is going to help address crowd concerns, which was the reason that the event was called off last year. You can walk through the sunflower fields between 8 a.m. and sunset each day. And new this year, a 5K run walk through the fields. That's 1 week from tonight at 7 p.m. And I just read online that $4, of course, is to get into the Conservancy, but it doesn't cover the shuttle costs.
Oh, the shuttle, you got to pay for the shuttle, too.
And that's a new thing. This event in the past has been free, so people should have a heads up that it's a little different this year.
Just don't drive out there and expect to park.
No, you're not going to be able to park there.
But it's worth it. It's so gorgeous.
All the pictures were beautiful.
They're just starting now. They say by Monday it's going to be in full bloom.
That'll be the peak. Yeah.
Yes. So it'll be really exciting. My folks are coming in town this weekend, so I think we're going to pop in.
Perfect. And the weather is perfect for them.
It is. It is a little warm, but very summery. It's not too oppressively hot outside right now. In fact, nice and sunny for this evening. Really should be able to get outside and enjoy the next several hours. We'll take a look, though, at what's ahead for the weekend in just a few minutes. Nice and sunny outside right now, just a few clouds, but our Doppler track's quiet. We don't have anything moving in as far as rain is concerned for this evening or overnight. Some showers well off to the west, the edge of Iowa and Minnesota. Not expecting those to move on over too much into our direction. A live look from our WISC-TV sky cam. Again, there are a few clouds, but it's still very sunny outside, still very warm. We're at about 83 right now, so it's a degree or two above average, depending on what side of town you're on. Dew points are in the low 60s, so it does feel a little more humid, and our breeze right now coming from the south-southwest at 10 miles an hour. So as our wind has shifted direction now for today and into Saturday, our temperatures are going to stay high. We get that southwest flow. It's just moving some warmer air in our direction. So that high pressure, of course, yesterday it was centered off to our west, but now it's pulled over to the east more. So we are sitting on the backside of that, and that's why we're getting a little southerly flow for us. We have a next system off to the west that'll start to push some showers on in for us, and we're looking at our next rain chances starting to move in towards the end of this weekend and really picking on up into the start of next week. But that is going to lead to a little cooler trend for much of next week for the work week. So that's the good news once we get through those shower chances. Right now, again, we're at about 83 in Madison, 86 though in La Crosse, and 80 in Dubuque. Of course, where they're seeing the showers off to the west, those temperatures are much cooler. That's the good thing that comes along with the rain and the cloud coverage. Right now with that sunshine and that warm breeze from the south, our temps are staying a little higher. Dew points also close to 60 throughout southern Wisconsin. So everybody feeling just a little warmer and a little muggier than yesterday. Our dew points are only a degree or two higher than they were this time 24 hours ago. So not a big jump. Just enough, though, that you might notice it. Tomorrow, plan on a few clouds, but still seeing some sunshine with that breeze in the afternoon coming from the south. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s for our afternoon highs for Friday. It is going to be a little warm outside late in the day. For Saturday, we continue to see sunshine, but we are going to see our temperatures climb in the mid to upper 80s. Maybe a little bit of a shower chance for northern Illinois. Our model runs bringing in a little bit of moisture to the south. Likely not going to see anything, though, creeping into our area until we get into Sunday and then Monday. Temps early on Sunday in the low 60s, and then in the afternoon, another warm day, mid to upper 80s for afternoon highs. A lot of sunshine expected for the next several days. That's the good news. It's just going to be a little warm for us, especially compared to where we're at earlier this week. Heat index readings tomorrow in the mid 80s in the afternoon, mid to upper 80s for some areas, might even get a little close to 90. For those heat index readings for Saturday, heat index readings expected to get into the low 90s. So it is going to be very humid outside. If you do have outdoor plans on Saturday, of course, if you're heading to Sunflower Days, just make sure you stay hydrated and then give yourself a little breaks if you're spending too much time in the sun. Step inside or get a little break in the shade. South breeze overnight. Temperatures will fall for us into the low 60s, but plan at least for the next few hours staying in the low 80s. Once we get closer to sunset, then we'll be in the upper 70s and we'll finally start to cool down once the sun does set. Overnight low of about 63 in Madison. Comfortable, partly cloudy sky for us overnight. Breeze still coming from the south. Tomorrow warm, but just a little more humid. About 87 the high in Madison. That's the bad news for this for tomorrow afternoon. 87 heading into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll stay in the upper 80s through the weekend, but as that system does slide on through and bring our rain chances in for Sunday and Monday, we see a little bit of a cool down to start off next week. Temperatures will be closer to average for the work week. Won't be peaking too much. We'll get a little drop there closer to 80, and then we'll start to increase yet again towards the end of the week and into next weekend. So a nice little July cycle there. No big jumps or drops, just some sun. A little system slides through, then we cool back down, some sun, another system slides through,
and then it's
back
August.
down, and then, my goodness, then it's August. August right there in the 10-day already. So hope you're ready to say goodbye to July.
Yeah, and you can't.
Sayonara.
You can't really complain because these days are days to savor. You know it's going to change.
Oh my gosh.
Sooner than probably we want.
Oh yeah, it's going to get cold soon. And Dave and I were just talking. We've had a lot of sun minutes actually in July. So the exact number, kind of hard to keep track of course, what is considered partly sunny versus partly cloudy or mostly cloudy. But it has overall been a pretty sunny July, and as we all know, a very hot July for us.
I just read it. Worldwide, it may well be the hottest month ever.
It might be, especially with what's going on in Europe. They're really bringing up the numbers. And Madison, though, again, you can thank Dave Caulfield for this. If we stop the month right now, we would be the 12th hottest July on record. So not in the top 5, not a big driver, but still very hot outside.
A couple of those days, I think.
Yes, yes.
All right,
just takes a few.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana. Distracted driving often involves smartphones, but a new study finds that seniors struggle with the technology that is built into the dash of many cars.
And that distraction increases the risk of an accident. Diane King Hall has more.
Infotainment systems have made it easier to find a favorite song or navigate to an address. But a new study from AAA finds the screens can be extremely distracting.
Stop sign. Stop sign.
Especially for seniors.
Please say or select a navigation command.
AAA and the University of Utah tested seniors in several newer cars as they tried to use the technology.
Watch out.
Drivers will shift their attention back and forth from the driving task to the in-vehicle task. Now, if they're taking especially long glances inside the cabin, that's particularly risky.
AAA's William Horry says during testing, drivers aged 55 and older were up to 8 seconds slower than millennials when using functions like calling and navigation. That added time can be dangerous. AAA says removing your eyes from the road for just 2 seconds can double the risk of a crash. And it's not just touch screens. Voice commands
Gas station
can lead to distraction.
Calculating route to home. Oh, please say again.
And cause frustration.
I gotta pull over. This is pissing me off.
Please say again.
Safety experts say pulling over is actually a good idea if the technology is getting too distracting. Many tasks like programming navigation should be done before you start driving.
Certainly there's a balance between, the conveniences that the technology affords and the risks associated with it.
Please say again.
Safety advocates are encouraging car companies to change infotainment systems to make them less distracting. Diane King Hall, CBS News, New York.
And they got to work on that voice recognition.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
That's
This
so
could
good.
totally be me. I struggle with it sometimes, too, and that guy had the right idea to just pull over.
AAA says by 2030, more than 1 in 5 drivers will be 65 or older. That would be me in 2 years.
Still to come at 4, the restoration of the Garver feed mill on Madison's east side has been years in the making.
But it's finished now and open for business, at least one business, Ian's Pizza. We'll find out what you can expect to see at the new location. The Live at 4 continues. You are looking live at the Gateway Arch in St. Louis. Kind of a hazy day there as well. I guess it's 84 there now, 81 here, so much the same way.
It's a great shot.
It is. Well, the restoration of the former Garver seed mill has been years in the making, and now tenants have started to move in.
One of those tenants is a brand new location for Ian's Pizza. They opened yesterday, and it was so popular, you probably heard about this, they ran out of dough and had to close early.
Photojournalist Christopher Haubacher caught up with the manager of the new location ahead of the grand opening to see what you can expect.
We start with a really good New York-style dough, and then we take it to every extreme you possibly can when it comes to flavor profiles. Our most popular is hands down our mac and cheese. Kind of everybody's first tiptoe into kind of some of our crazier flavors. We have great products, but also that we have locally sourced products as much as possible. Originally, it was a beet sugar factory and then was converted into a feed mill for chicken feed. And it was vacant for about 30 years. It was turned into pretty much a collage of street art, and it was just a dilapidated, old, skeleton of a building for a while, trees growing up through the middle of it. Now they've done a great job to revitalize it and make it into a space where we'll have different tenants, not without calling it a collective. We wanted to make it a collective effort. And it's been really cool to work with the different tenants, and it seems like everybody is on the same page as far as having that same idea. But talking with the community, it's been great to get all of the feedback as far as people just being excited for this building. And you can see every single time, people coming up to the windows and looking in. So there's easily 50 people a day that come and look through the windows and are trying to get a sneak peek of what's going on. Being right here on the bike path, people being able to come in for a slice and a beer, or go over to the vegan cafe or grab a coffee, or when the bar is here, grab a drink at the bar. We're going for something that is part of the community, that is embraced by the community, and ultimately that is driven by the community.
At long last.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Have to check it out.
Can't wait to see it.
Well, there's more to come at 4. We're getting behind the wheel with Harvey Briggs.
When we come back, we'll find out what Harvey thinks of the all-new 2019 Volvo S60. It's taking on some tough competition. That's when Live at 4 continues.
Beige.
No accidents to report right now, and as we look at the Beltline on Mineral Point, both east and westbound going along just fine, but everywhere before then, at least on the westbound side, starting to see a little bit of congestion. On the eastbound side, everywhere after then, seeing the congestion popping up for us. Quite a slowdown there right around the Verona Road area, heading into the Fish Hatchery Road exit. You're going to be going about 14 miles per hour, getting closer to John Nolan at about 21, and then speeds improve greatly the closer you get to Monona, and then, of course, 39 and 90. On the Isthmus, there are some delays right now, but nothing out of the norm. Around Middleton, getting off onto 14, you're good to go, but from 14 heading into Middleton, there are a few delays. Some slowdowns also on 12 heading northbound, and then around Wanakee on 133 or 113. We are seeing some slowdowns right now. 27 minutes to get from Janesville to the Beltline, 16 from Sauk City to Middleton, and then from Sun Prairie to downtown will take you just a little longer than usual, about a 19-minute commute this evening. That's a quick look at traffic.
All right, thanks, Dana.
Are we crying? Hang on, Georgia, look at me. Hey, my turn. My turn. I'm gonna cry now, okay? Okay, your turn. Go ahead, cry. Cry.
This California father of 3 is a master of reverse psychology. While kids love to cry, daughters love to do the exact opposite of what their father asks. Just ask my dad. Armed with this information, he turns the tables by crying in front of her before asking her to cry. He discovered this trick with one of his older kids and claims it works every time.
Look at that face.
I know. Now that is news you can use. Parents out there, give this a shot.
Just cry.
The compact luxury sedan segment is chock full of cars from the Germans, the Japanese, and in the case of our test car today, Sweden.
Volvo, once the butt of a joke that their cars are boxy but good, has stepped up its product design one model at a time. Harvey Briggs says they may have saved the best for last as we go behind the wheel of the 2019 Volvo S60. What is this color?
This is Fusion Red Metallic. It's kind of a red-orange, and it really looks good on this car.
Very un-Volvo-y.
Yeah, Volvo, you think black, gray, you know,
beige.
Silver, beige, right?
The 2019 Volvo S60 is anything but beige, both in color and attitude. This sure isn't the Volvo we grew up with.
No, it doesn't have that same boxy look that the old ones did.
This company sort of flies under the radar.
Yeah, Volvo came back a few years ago after Ford sold them to a Chinese company, Geely, and they've slowly rebuilt themselves. This is the last of the new models that they introduced, this S60 sedan.
The Volvo may be financed in China, but this car is designed in Sweden, engineered in Sweden, and assembled at a brand new plant in South Carolina, built specifically to put the S60 together.
Volvo is here to stay, and if they keep making cars this good, there's no reason they shouldn't be.
Our test model, a T6R design, is powered by a 316 horsepower, 4-cylinder that's both turbocharged and supercharged. A base T5 gets 250 horses.
I love the way it drives. I like the design, the comfort. I like the Volvo brand and the sense of safety that comes along with it. And I actually like this engine, even though it's not the best sounding of the bunch.
And it's quite a bunch that this S60 is running with.
Competition from BMW, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, the new Genesis G70 that we drove that is so good. There are a ton of great vehicles in this category, and this one really stands out for me. It's right at the top of the list. It stands out, which is nice. You know, there's a lot of sameness in car design now, but Volvos, though they maintain the traditional shapes of SUVs and sedans, they have created their own identity that connects to their past, but stands out from all the other cars today.
It stands out, outside and in. Boy, that sure is nice in here.
Yeah, I am a big fan of Volvo interiors. It just is clean and classic and understated.
Most controls are made through a giant 12.3-inch driver's display. It's called the Census Infotainment Center and works with a touchscreen or voice control.
And so right now it's beautiful.
It has an opinion.
Yes. I like a car that has a personality.
The S60 also passes the Harvey test.
I've got that seat where I like it up front.
Which is pretty far back.
Yeah. And
not bad.
Not bad. I can sit back here comfortably. I'd rather be in that seat because it's more fun to drive than ride.
There's plenty of room for storage, but if you need more, the S60 is also available as a station wagon. It's called the V60.
The station wagon, honestly, would be one of the 2 cars I'd put in my garage.
What's the other one?
The Miata. That's my ideal garage, a Volvo V60 and a Mazda Miata.
There you have it.
That's it.
There you have it. Pretty high praise.
Yeah, that's interesting to see which 2 cars he would have in his garage. I liked hearing that.
Fuel economy, 21 in town, 32 on the highway. The T5 with the smaller engine gets 28 in town, 36 on the highway. As for the price, here we go. $36,000 for the base price.
Okay.
Our test car with all the bells and whistles, $55 grand. Okay. But it has a $3,800 stereo upgrade.
Oh, really?
So you can get rid of that.
I like that color too. It's unique.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like every other car you see on the road.
That's Harvey's point. And
yeah.
A lot of people don't think of Volvo, but maybe they should.
Maybe they should.
All right, we'll be right back with a final check of your forecast.
Ready, roll playback. 3,
Little warm.
a little warm, but not too bad right now. And again, we do have some sunshine, a little cloud coverage though, with some sun for other areas. And temperature-wise, we're still sitting in the mid to low 80s. As we look at our Doppler track right now, notice there are some showers off to the west, but for southern Wisconsin, currently we don't have any rain falling from the sky. Again, 83 in Madison. That's the warmest we've been so far today, but it's 85 in Boscoville. Looking off into Iowa, they're sitting in the lower 70s where those showers are coming on through, about 81 in Janesville. The other part to the story, of course, your temperatures are a little warmer and your dew points also a little higher today. Compared to this time 24 hours ago, we've popped up just a few degrees for our dew points. That does mean it feels just a little more humid outside, enough that you're probably starting to know it. We'll stay in the 80s for a little longer. Plan on sun through the rest of this evening, and then the closer we get to sunset, we start to drop into the upper 70s. Overnight lows will fall to the low 60s to start off your Friday. Now Friday, it'll be quite a bit warmer outside. Plan on those temperatures heading into the weekend in the upper 80s. So just keep in mind, of course, whatever your weekend plans may be, you'll want to make sure you stay hydrated for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because it is going to feel like we're in the low 90s with those heat index.
I want to get out of this shot because you two of these dresses with that background.
Oh,
Look how beautiful it is. Just spectacular.
Wonderful.
You look like a living garden.
Yes.
Thank you, Dana. Tomorrow here on Live Before, Michael Bruno goes backstage at the Aligning Stars Theater Group's production of Chicago.
And our K9 correspondents Lola and Louie will have the best animal stories of the week in the News Hounds. That's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4.
You're so funny.
That was funny.